This is the solution to Lab 1 of the Cloud Application Developer Certification Preparation course. Use the Bluemix CLI to deploy and manage applications. In this lab, you'll learn how to use the IBM Bluemix Command Line Interface (BX CLI) to log into Bluemix, deploy an application, and add a service, all from the command line. The prerequisites are the following. You must have an IBM Bluemix account. You must have a web browser supported by Bluemix, the Bluemix Command Line Interface 0.5.4 or later, and also it's recommended that you use Git Bash. Step 1 of this lab shows you how to install the Bluemix Command Line Interface. So the first thing you do is download the Bluemix CLI by going to the URL. Once you're at the Bluemix CLI download page, click Download for your system. Click Save. Now that you have it downloaded, simply extract the file, double-click the executable file, and when prompted, click Install and answer any remaining prompts. So I'm going to open my installer and follow the installation wizard. Click Next. Accept the license agreement if you agree. Click Next and click Install. Now click Finish. You will be asked to restart your system. If you're ready to restart, click Yes. Otherwise, click No to restart later. In Step 2, you will use the Bluemix Command Line Interface tool to work with Bluemix and understand your Bluemix account, organization, and spaces for applications. You use this tool in a terminal on your workstation. So first, start a command line terminal or Git Bash shell window. I'll start my command line. Verify your CLI release by running this command, bx-v. So it looks like I have the latest version, 0.5.4. You can select the region for your login by providing the API endpoint to the bx API command. The table below shows the regions and associated API endpoints. For example, I'm going to select US South region because I'm located in the US. So I type bx API So now that my endpoint is set, I can log in. To log in, use the following command. So now I've logged in with my credentials. If you see a warning or failed login with a message like you are using a federated user ID, please use the one-time passcode. Add the --SSO option to the login command to be provided with a URL for creating a one-time passcode login. The login sequence shown gives an example of a user that has a federated ID and needs to use the one-time passcode. When your Bluemix account is initially created, you get an opportunity to customize the name of the organization and set a space name. Organization names must be unique across Bluemix. Space names don't need to be unique. In Step 5, we'll list your current spaces in Bluemix by using the bxim spaces command. Add a space to your current organization by using bxim space-create my new space, and then list the spaces in your organization by using bxim spaces. So we'll start with bxim spaces. So I only have one space so far. It's only displaying that one. And let's add a space. So I've created the space, and now Let me list them again. And there's two that should be displaying now. So we have dev and my new space that was created. Commands related to applications and services, for example, deploying an application, will operate within the current organization and space. To change the active space, use the bx target command and provide the new space with the -s option. This command might also be used to change the current active organization. In step 6, we'll be viewing your quota. Resource limits are set in the organization level. To view quota available in an organization that you are a member of, enter bxim org and your org name. So you can see my quota, including the region and the status. Unless you want to use it for the rest of this lab, you can delete the space that you added above with the following command: bxim space -delete my new space. So let's delete that space that we just created. It'll ask you if you really want to delete. Type Y and it will delete the space. In step 3, we're going to deploy an application from a project by using the Bluemix command line tool. Now that you have an introduction to the Bluemix CLI, it's time to use it to deploy a sample application to Bluemix. The application is written in Node.js and uses the Express Web Application Framework. Download the application zip file from GitHub and unpack the zip file into a folder on your workstation. I'm going to go ahead and extract that. Next, start a command terminal and change the current directory to the folder of the application. Examine the files in the top level directory. Two important files are package.json and manifest.yml. So I'm going to open my command line and go to that directory. I'm going to examine the contents of that directory, and you'll see the two files. The package.json file outlines the dependencies needed for the application and also specifies the command to start the application. The manifest.yml defines the resource allocations and the application name in Bluemix and the host name for the deployed application. Before deploying, change the host for the application because each application must have a unique name in Bluemix. Open the manifest.yl file in your favorite text editor and change the application name and add a matching host name for the deployment. One way to make the host name unique is to add your initials and the current date. So I'm going to open the file. So I'm going to change the name here. And add a host. We'll also need to change the random route to false. So now we'll just save my file. And I can close it. And you'll need to use the application name to replace your app name in the rest of the lab. Now you'll need to log into Bluemix and select the space where you want to deploy the application by using the commands you learned in the previous section. Now that I'm logged in and the space is selected, I'm going to issue the bxapp push command and follow the messages in the terminal as the application is deployed and started in Bluemix. So after a few minutes, the application will finish starting and the status will be shown as running and show the URL for the application. To get details on health and status of a specific app, use the bxapp show your app name command. So I use the bxapp app list, and I can see it there, so I'll now use the bx app show. And now we'll check the health of the app. Use the bx app logs command to view event messages stored in the buffer with the -- recent command, or use a command without the option to follow events in real time. Turn on logging in the terminal with this command. So in the final step, open the URL that was shown for your application in the web browser. Enter a sentence into the text box and click the send button and observe the display. You will see messages from both the Bluemix components and also from the Express request logger. Any other output to the st.out from the application is also displayed to the log stream. When you are done checking out the application, you can end the log stream by pressing Ctrl+C. In the fourth and final step, you'll add a service to an application using the Cloud Foundry CLI. In this section, you'll learn how to find a service from the catalog by using the command line and then bind the service to the same application. This application has code to recognize the bound service and extends its functionality through the API that is added with the service. Use the bx service offerings command to list all available services for your Bluemix region, ID, and organization privileges. This command requires some patience as it takes quite a while to complete. You can redirect the output to a file or use a pager, like more or less, to make the output easier to read. And here's a result of the list of services in Bluemix. For this application, we'll add the Watson language translator service. To add the service, you need to know the service name in the catalog and the available plans for use. For this deployment, use the standard plan. Let's add the service to your current space. Verify the service and also get a list of other services in the current space by using the bx service list command. So there we verified that we've added that service. Now let's bind the service to your application. After binding the application, you are reminded to restage your application. Restaging is needed to add the API credentials for the service to the application runtime environment and restart the application with them. So let's restage the application. When the command completes, go back to your application again and enter a sentence and click send. So I typed hello and the application displayed the language, which is English. I know Spanish, so I'm going to type hola, see if it recognizes that. Yep, Spanish. Hello, how are you? Now let's type in a little German. See if it recognizes that. Yep. Check the routes for this application with the bx app routes command. Cloud Foundry applications are accessed through routes that establish mapping between a web URL or API endpoint and a specific application running on Bluemix. So there are your routes. Add another route to the application by using the bx app route-map or the bx network route-map commands. For example, you can add the prefix smarter because it can now recognize a language to your application. So let's add that, bx network After running this command, both routes will now work for the application. When you are finished with the application and are ready to clean up, stop the application, bx app stop, delete the application from Bluemix and remove all routes associated with it. Finally, delete the service. You have now explored managing your account and applications in Bluemix by using the Cloud Foundry command line interface. This lab focused on the more commonly used commands, but there are many more that can be useful. Entering only the bx command on the command line will produce a list of available commands. To get more information on a specific command, including the required arguments and options, you can enter bx help in the terminal. For more details on the Bluemix CLI commands, see the Bluemix documentation. Thank you.